Myself and the team have been working on a video that's coming out next week that is titled Investigating Marjorie Taylor Greene. Comes out on Sunday. And in the process of researching for that video, which is going to be crazy, I came across so many things that Marjorie Taylor Greene has said and done that I hadn't even seen that are so insane. And we have to remember how influential now she is. And then to see, and this is just the latest example of her crazy social media activity, to see someone who wields the power and influence that she does, who represents such a large portion of the MAGA base as she does, to espouse the stuff that she does, is wild. And while we are going to explore in the video that I'm referring to that comes out at 5 p.m. this upcoming Sunday, you're going to want to see it on the YouTube channel. While we explore her history of past insane statements, and that is important to analyze because it's easy to forget, similar to Trump. I think sometimes she's attempted to get away with pretending like that's all in the past. And she doesn't say the outrageous, conspiratorial, dangerous, nonsense, bonkers stuff that she used to say. That's what we can't let her get away with because she is on a regular basis pushing just as crazy nonsense. So I'll get to a video of her and her boyfriend talking about the state of things, her pumped about the prospect of bad economic figures, which is a weird MAGA thing, and some other stuff. But first, here's something she posted, which was put together by Roseanne Barr, who we've discussed before, that is as crazy as it gets. Look at this photo she posted. Plan A, I'll describe for podcast listeners. It's supposed to be Plan A, B, and C for the Democrats. Plan A, and it's a photo of Thomas Crooks. Plan B, and it's a photo of Kamala Harris. And Plan C, and it's a photo of what's supposed to be vote counts and a suspicious spike, fraudulent is what they're trying to assert, in Democratic votes being counted. This is what they say happened in 2020. Oh, a sudden spike and you can't account for it. And we've debunked that before. Think about how dangerous this is for her to be pushing out to her millions of followers. Plan A for they, right? The same they that stole the election is Thomas Crooks. What? A registered Republican who was searching for both Democratic and Republican politicians, and while what he did was absolutely horrible and tragic, they have been incapable, because it's not what the facts show, of drawing a connection between any left-wing ideology and him. Instead, him looking for some twisted version of notoriety. And still, they're willing to assert that somehow this was a part of a Democratic plot to take Trump down, is so frightening, because what I heard said, since I was at that rally talking Trump supporters right after, was the left's going to pay for this. And what becomes justified in one's mind in their actions against the opposition when they're told the opposition has done things like tried to kill their candidate is extremely dangerous. So regardless, as I've said before, not to go through this whole thing again, but regardless of if Thomas Crooks had been motivated by left-wing ideology, to then pretend like it was this shadowy group of left-wingers that caused it when it was one deranged person would be dangerous by itself. But now we know it wasn't even a left-winger, so it's that much more crazy. But it's trying to convince MAGA people that the left Marjorie Taylor Greene rails against is the same entity or group responsible for the attempted assassination of Trump, which is just horrible. And then Plan B is Kamala Harris becoming the nominee, and Plan C is fraud. What does this show aside from derangement? Well, fear on the part of MTG about the political prospects of Trump. We've heard Trump now speaking more again about his preemptive lies about this upcoming election that is going to be stolen from him, that cheating is going to go on. This is something they say when they realize there's a good chance they could lose because of the strength of the candidacy of Kamala Harris and the momentum swinging in her direction. So across MAGA figures, we're now seeing the bringing back of these claims that things are going to be fraudulent because they're not confident in Trump's ability to actually win. Obviously, if Kamala Harris wins, it's going to be legitimate and they're going to lie about it. Before getting to this video from the rally of MTG, I do want to show you, since Roseanne Barr was the person who made that photograph that then Marjorie Taylor Greene reposted in a podcast that we reviewed between Roseanne Barr and Marjorie Taylor Greene. They had this doozy of a moment.
You know what? Now they're going to sell, they already proved they're selling the aborted phoenixes, the aborted fetus parts to Bill Gates to put in his meat. Well, that's true.
The fake meat or the real meat?
Yeah, the fetus meat, fetus burgers.
Oh, good gosh.
Come on, when they put in their protein, we're eating humans. They got us all being cannibals.
Well, I'm not, because I would never buy his fake meat.
No, but they already got it. And McDonald's is selling fetus burgers.
What?
Yeah, they got it in everything.
Man, I got to get back on QAnon. I am missing out on some good stuff.
It's QAnon, a lot of it.
No, it isn't. It's just about Bill Gates' fake meat.
When did you
Well,
leave?
Bill Gates is crazy.
Yeah.
He's
Someone's crazy. And so that's Roseanne Barr, and that's who Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying, yes. Oh, by the way, that's who RFK Jr. was telling his story of dumping the carcass of a bear in Central Park to. Same person. Roseanne Barr is just in all the circles. Very weird. And then you have this.
Shit here today.
It is so exciting to be here. People here from all over Georgia are fired up for President Trump. They're also fired up to make sure that our elections are safe, Brian, because election integrity matters, and it matters to these people here. They're also excited for what's coming in less than 100 days, and they can't wait to see President Trump take that stage today and J.D. Vance take that stage today and lay out the agenda that is literally going to save our country.
We were just talking before he walked on about election integrity. They're fired up for the video playing right now. Election integrity, about the illegals that could potentially vote in this election and how that could be a big difference.
This is critical. I will tell you, Brian, it's something I'm really concerned about. You and I've talked about this. So have many other people. People all over the country are worried. There's been 10 to 20 million illegal alien voters come into our country, and we know many of them could be voting in our elections. That would be election fraud. And, we understand the consequences of stolen elections. We're watching it for Venezuela. We've watched it for many other countries, and we have lived it, Brian, for almost 4 years now, the consequences of a stolen election, and that has hurt our country so much.
Yeah, so telling the same lie there as well. And what's being done, and it's so malicious, is let's go ahead and start saying undocumented immigrants may be voting, maybe dead voters, that whole thing again. And Dominion, you don't know what they're going to be up to. And if Trump wins, he won in such a landslide they couldn't even impact the election enough with the cheating that definitely went on. Then if he loses, see, we were telling you the whole time, months before we were warning of this, it's so malicious, it's so dishonest. And to the particulars of what was being mentioned there, the undocumented immigrant voting lie, separate from the data on that, and we've reviewed the analyses that dive into just how secure our elections are, but common sense wise, how do you not understand why that would not be a big issue? If you are an undocumented immigrant, what would be your incentive to go risk being caught for voter fraud, which would likely lead to you being deported, just so you can get one extra vote for a presidential candidate? You're putting everything on the line to break the law to vote. And in your case, the everything on the line is so severe that you could end up being deported. And they've never been able to engage with that, much less all the investigations that reveal the opposite of what they say about our elections. But because the attacks against Kamala Harris's identity aren't working, because the lies about so many different things, including our elections, aren't working, now we're seeing them try to coin a phrase, Kamala crash, that there's going to be an economic crash because of Kamala Harris if she's elected. Marjorie Taylor Greene said, get ready for the hashtag Kamala crash. And they strangely jumped onto or latched onto the bad stock market day we had today to say, see, this is proof of it, without engaging with the fact that we've had all of these record-breaking days and a broader story of this stunning economic recovery, and they say that's not something Biden or Harris should get credit for, any credit. And they'll even say good stock market days are because an expectation of Trump, but then now it's a Kamala crash when we have one bad day after a series of good ones. Huh? In the last 28 days, 100,000 people have subscribed to this channel, which is absolutely stunning. Thank you so much. If you haven't yet, please do click that subscribe button. You don't want to have FOMO, do you? I appreciate it. Back to the video.
Down, what some would call history in the making.
Don't say that. We have never been down 1,000 points ever, not even intraday on the NASDAQ.
Bidenomics is working. It's working.
The stock market just taking a big old nosedive this morning.
Dow Jones is down about 1,010 points.
That is called Bidenomics.
The Dow fell more than 600 points Friday on a weaker than expected jobs report.
5%.
It's so dishonest, yes, aggravating, but I wish they would engage with the fact that based on today's stock market performance, they're ready to say economy's collapsing when that's not at all what it's revealing. But then that comes as they were just saying Trump should get credit for the stock market. I don't know why, but they were just saying that. So, but is this his fault that no, it's somehow the Kamala crash? But then if you would be consistent and you want to blame a bad stock market day on Kamala Harris, the vice president, for some reason, then wouldn't you have to give her all the credit on all the good days? And the last few years of stunning recovery out of a devastating economic situation? Any of that do you discuss? No. Trump tried to say that he was to credit for good jobs reports in recent months. You can make some argument that the policies of a president carry over a little bit, totally. But years into the next presidency, you're to credit for good jobs figures, as you were saying everything else about the economy, if it were bad, was because of Biden. It's so fragmented. Brian Krasenstein said, here are the 10 largest daily percentage Dow Jones drops in recent history, along with the president who was in charge during each stock market collapse. It goes through them. Obviously, Biden's not on that list. And number of top 10 drops, you have Trump, 5 out of 10. Bush, 2 out of 10. Hoover, 2 out of 10. Reagan, 1 out of 10. Biden, 0 out of 10 of the top drops. And Ron Filipkowski saying on days the stock market's up, it's because investors are supposedly excited Trump will be president again. On days it goes down, it's Harris's fault. But if you look, and I could end up being wrong, we need the next days to play out to really know what trajectory will come of this. But it's strange this quickly to start hyperventilating when a lot of people could have told you in the near term, it's natural to expect because of how strong the stock market has been, the surging that we've seen, a pullback. And that's exactly what we're seeing. And most likely, it'll then pick back up, and MAGA will go back to saying that somehow because of Trump. Let me know what you thought of all that in the comments. If you want to get extra content daily, you can do so by clicking the join button below.